your Catholic Drive Time
with Joe McLean and Emily Alcaraz.
Joining us right now via Zoom chat all the way from sunny England. Praise be to God, is Father Benedict Kiely, the founder of Nazarene.org. Good morning to you, Father.
Good morning, Joe. Great to be with you on Guadalupe Radio again.
Yeah, praise be to God. It's good to have you back. Now, Nazarene...
And it is sunny, by the way, in England, just so the listeners know. We see the sun. We see the sun in England.
I was trying to be cheeky there. I was trying to a little tongue-in-cheek, because everybody knows...
It doesn't work.
It never is sunny in England. It's always foggy, right? I mean, that's the rule.
No.
It's fake news.
It's beautiful. It's God's own country.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, Father. Let's talk about Nazarene.org. The Pope is in Iraq. It's kind of a big deal. It's pretty monumental. You've been raising awareness to the plight of Christians in the Middle East for a very long time now. How do you see this historic trip?
You're right. It's huge. I mean, he's just arrived just a few minutes ago, the first Pope ever in history to this ancient land where Christians have been for 2,000 years. I think that's one of the most important things for the listeners to understand, because often when I'm preaching or speaking in the US or in England, people say, well, when did we bring the faith to Iraq? Or when did we bring the faith to the Middle East? And it's the exact opposite. They were there. I mean, when we think on Pentecost Sunday, remember that long list we hear of the people who were listening to Peter preaching, the Parthians, the Medes, the Elamites, people from Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is Iraq. They were there at the birth of the church. And so the Pope is going, they believe that their church was founded by the Apostle Thomas, doubting Thomas. So for the first Pope in history to go there is a massive, massive deal. And of course, he's going, as he said himself, to a church of martyrs, a church of witnesses, a suffering church, as the whole church across the Middle East is suffering. But it's a profoundly important moment in the life of the church, and for all of us who claim to be members of the body of Christ. So a lot of prayer is needed during these days as well. So I'd encourage people to be praying for the safety of the Holy Father, for the safety of everybody there, and then for blessings on the church in Iraq.
It wasn't all that long ago when ISIS was pushing Christians out of their homes and marking these homes with the Arabic letter for N, which that's where you're getting your name Nazarene, right? And that's the backstory there. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, for those who, it's always, I'm always amused when I'm on radio, but I'm actually also on screen as well. But if anyone is watching, you'll be able to see the Arabic N right behind me or above my shoulder. The Arabic N, the Nun in Arabic, is what ISIS, but also it's been for centuries, marked the houses of Christian. N for Nasrani, Nazarene, it means Christian. So they marked the houses, meaning Christians lived here, and it was a sign for them to get out or to be killed, basically. So we took that symbol 6 years ago as the symbol of solidarity to show that we were in solidarity with persecuted Christians. And it's become a very, very powerful sign. But it's not just for Iraq, it's not just for the Middle East. It's a sign that we are identifying as Christians with Christians. And so our organization, my little charity, began that. Others have copied it, and copying is, I suppose, a form of flattery. But it's good. It's all good because it raises awareness, and it helps. When I go, I was, funnily enough, I was at the dentist literally the other day, and the dentist was an Iraqi lady. And she knew exactly, I had the lapel pin on, she knew exactly what it was. She knew it was the Arabic letter. She didn't quite know why. And so we had a nice little discussion. So it's a form of witness as well.
I have one of your pens, and I've worn it on a number of occasions to public events, and I've also gotten attention, like, what is that? And had the opportunity to have that conversation. I interviewed Bishop Emmanuel Shaleta, who is the Chaldean bishop in San Diego, born and raised in Iraq. I interviewed him last year, or into 2019, and we had a great conversation. He told me about his brother. When ISIS was approaching their village, his brother got a knock on the front door by his neighbor. They had been neighbors for 40 years. And his neighbor said, ISIS will be here tomorrow. I know you have to leave. Why don't you give your house to me so at least it's gone to a friend? Now, he said his neighbor was so shocked. He said his brother was so shocked that his neighbor didn't say, "I'm going to defend you. We're all here for you because we've been friends. We've shared 40 years together." His neighbor said, "Give your house to me." And it just left him in utter shock. They had to flee for their lives in hopes of not being martyred, or worse, their daughters, their wives being taken by ISIS. It was a pretty shocking situation. And when he described it to me, I couldn't imagine what the worst trouble I'm going to have today, Father, is whether or not my coffee is hot enough, let alone deal with neighbors turning against me that I've known forever. Is that still the case? What is their life like now in Iraq?
Well, it's still very hard. Many of them have not returned precisely because of those facts. Their neighbors betrayed them. It's very hard to live. The Pope will be preaching, we know, quite a strong message of reconciliation, and that's all well and good. But there is some concern, I have to say, from the Christians in Iraq that message mustn't be, as it were, overdone, because the Christians say to me, well, we were in peace. We don't need to be told to live in peace. We were living peacefully with our neighbors. They attacked us. They drove us out of our homes. They kidnapped our wives and children. So that interreligious dialogue angle is all well and good, but the central focus must be on the witness. Remember, the word martyr means witness. So they witnessed, many of them to the point of death, to death. The Pope later this afternoon, will be in the cathedral, the Syriac Catholic Cathedral in Baghdad, where you remember just a few years ago in 2010, Islamist terrorists came in, blew the place up, blew up their suicide vest, killed 2 priests, more than 40 men, women, and children. Their course for beatification is going ahead. So it's a church of witnesses, and now ISIS is rising again. ISIS, I think I may have said this when I was on your show last time, ISIS is just a name. It's about an ideology. They're rising again, but also the Christians on the Nineveh plain, for the listeners, if you remember from your scriptures, the prophet Jonah went to Nineveh. Nineveh is Mosul. The Pope is going to Mosul.
Hold that thought, Father Kiely. I have to interrupt you. You're on a famous list now of people I have cut off, but we'll be right back after this very short break with Father Benedict Kiely and the Nazarene.org witness to Christian persecution. Father, Emily and I were talking with Colm Flynn from EWTN, was that a week ago? And he was talking about his trip to Iraq. And Emily, remember how he talked about how there was a real concern that the Pope wouldn't be strong enough in the eyes of the Muslims.
He was mentioning the fact that, although the Pope is having all these great ecumenical meetings with people, Colm Flynn pointed out that from a Muslim perspective, it might seem weak. And so I was wondering, Father Benedict, do you think that this will have a negative effect on the Christians because they will see the Holy Father as sort of giving in to the Muslim leaders?
There's definitely a concern, Emily. There is a real concern that he needs to be strong. He needs to be, I've heard, I've been there, as I say, 7 times, and I've heard multiple times, I was speaking to someone in Iraq just yesterday, that their central concern is that he highlights the persecution and highlights the fact that Christians are equal citizens in Iraq. At the moment they're not. They are second-class citizens under the Iraqi constitution, as all religious minorities are. And I know he will address this during his first speech. He will ask that nobody can be a second-class citizen in Iraq, but he needs to be forceful. They're hoping he will be forceful. And yes, Christians are peacemakers. We are there in the middle, often between 2 sides, between the Shia Muslims and between the Sunni Muslims. ISIS was Sunni. Now the Christians are surrounded by Shia militias on the Nineveh plain. I was saying just before that on the Nineveh plain where Jonah preached, where Mosul is, which is Nineveh, where the Pope will go on Sunday, they're surrounded now by Shia militias, and they need to know that the Pope is on their side, which he is, obviously, but very forcefully speaking and challenging the world community. This is a moment, these 3 days are a moment where the world's media will finally, having forgotten about the Christians for so long, be a bit more focused on them. So it's a perfect moment. It's an opportunity that mustn't be wasted, because if it is wasted, many people feel the Christians of Iraq will be almost extinct.
Wow. Father Benedict Kiely is our guest. Nazarene.org is the website. Father, do you believe that this trip will have lasting or good implications for the Christians there, or do you think it'll be a nice trip, a good photo op? I mean, what's your real heart and opinion of the result of this historic trip?
Well, no, please God, it will be. I mean, we know that St. John Paul II, wanted to go to Iraq during the Great Jubilee in 2000. He wanted to go because of his great pilgrimage, going to the Holy Land and go. He was in Syria and he wanted to go. He wasn't able to go. So the Pope Francis is in a sense fulfilling that desire of St. John Paul. However, also the world has changed dramatically. Remember, again, we don't want to get into politics, but remember, it was the prophetic words of St. John Paul, who said, when the invasion happened in 2003 of Iraq, he prophesied that it would be catastrophic for Iraq's Christians. And that is exactly what's happened. They've been decimated. And so this is almost, I've been told many times, this is almost the last chance. There'll always be some Christians in Iraq, but they've gone from about 1.3 million before the 2003 war to about 200,000 now. Now, if this was an animal, the World Wildlife Fund has categories for extinction, and Christians in Iraq are now at the official in danger of extinction level.
Wow.
So this trip is, you could say, it's not too dramatic to say, this trip is almost their last chance. If the world realizes we must save, we save frogs, we do all we can to save frogs, but here is this ancient Christian civilization, and this is the moment. If the world reacts, and if the Christian churches in the West react, then it will give them hope. Because the youth, he will address the youth very strongly, I know. But young people, if they don't feel they've got any future, they'll all leave. And then that's it. You've got a church of a few old people left and a few priests and bishops, and that's it. So it's critical. It's critical.
Father Benedict, what can our listeners do to get involved? Because I'm sure many people are hearing about this and they're like, what can I do to help? So what can our listeners do? How can they get involved with Nazarene or in other ways to help the persecuted Christians?
Thank you, Emily. Well, first, it's not pious to say, pray. Pray. I always say this, prayer is a first resort, not a last resort. Pray every day for the persecuted church, even one Hail Mary. Pray for them every day for the rest of your lives, that God will aid them and strengthen them. Secondly, yes, support, financial, etc. My charity, Nazarene. I always just have to spell it for you guys because people always go for the Z rather than the S. NASAREAN.org, Nazarene.org. We're helping, trying to keep families there, starting little businesses so people stay, so they have a future. And then always advocacy, speaking up. Ask your parish priest, how come we don't pray for the persecuted? Ask the bishop, what are you doing for the persecuted? Are you having a night of prayer in your cathedral? Do you know, I think, I may be wrong, there's been only one night of prayer with a bishop in his own cathedral in the United States in the last 5 years. I may be wrong,
Wow.
but certainly not more than a handful, with the bishop himself praying in his own cathedral. And that was in Portland, Oregon. I know because I was preaching there. But that bishop, Archbishop Alexander Sample, wanted a night of prayer in his own cathedral. And we need that. We need to, and then they can say also to their senators, to their representatives, there's a lot of concern, I have to say, with the new administration, that a shift of emphasis is already occurring away from helping Christians to helping other minority groups, which perhaps are, people can guess who those minority groups are. And I know in Iraq, they're very, very worried because they were getting some help from the last administration that they didn't get from the Obama administration. So there's a lot of concern. People need to speak up for Christians.
I personally was eager to see a drawback or drawdown of U.S. troops overseas. We were pulling out of Syria, pulling out of Iraq, pulling out of Afghanistan, pulling out of North Africa. I mean, we were in many parts of the world, and most places, most of us Americans didn't even know we were there, and we were there. And to see the troops starting to come home or be reassigned, I thought that was a positive step in the shift away from regime change warfare. But now it looks like we're reversing course. Even in Syria, within 48 hours of the inauguration on January the 6th, or rather in January, there was troops sent into Syria again. So we're seeing a reversal, of course, here. This is very concerning, and I think the Christians will be the ones caught in the middle in most of this turmoil. How do you see Syria and other parts being affected by this geopolitics?
Syria, and remember there was a bombing. Syria was just bombed again. It seems like the old crew is back. The military-industrial complex, the war crew are back. It's very complicated, but no regime change. Syria, for example, again, ancient Christian community, absolutely ancient Christian community, is being destroyed by sanctions. Now, it's nothing to do with how bad the regime is. Ordinary people, all I hear when we're involved in Syria as well, I've been to Syria, I was there last year ago, and the people are suffering. They're almost starving. They're lining up. Imagine your children having to leave school for 2 or 3 hours a day to line up for bread, 10 hours waiting for gas to fill up your vehicle. Sanctions are just hurting the ordinary people. So it's not about sending troops in. But in Iraq, the Christians need security, but more pressure it really is needed on things like the government. We've got economic pressure we can use without military pressure. We can cut money off. There's all kinds of things that have to be done. But going back to the old war stuff is a recipe also for disaster.
Father Benedict Kiely is our guest. Nazarene.org is his website, talking about the Christians in the Middle East. Now, I was looking on your website, Father. It looks like you're also involved in trying to help boost economic development among Christians in Iraq and probably other parts. Can you talk about that?
Yes, Joe. It's a very simple strategy. We're very, very small. Small is beautiful. We're very, very, very small. But our idea is one person at a time. It's a drop in the ocean, but if there wasn't one drop in the ocean, then there'd be no ocean. So what we do is we give through the generosity of donors, we give a small amount, but comparatively $7,000-8,000 to start up a business to a family, Christian family in Iraq, in Syria, now in Lebanon. So we've expanded quite a bit over the last few years. We give them this money to start up, and you can start a company, a business for that kind of money, which most people in the US know. They're all either children, grandchildren of people who started their own business or running their own business. To do a startup, and that does two things. It stops just the charity flow. You're just not handing money to people to do nothing. They start a little business. For example, the latest one we've just helped in the town of Bartella in Iraq. Pope Francis will be quite close to that on Sunday. It's a coffee shop. It's the first coffee shop in Bartella. We gave them the money. It's really beautiful. If you see on the website, it looks like something you'd find in Manhattan. And they stay. The family stays. Perhaps they start employing other people, and then they survive and they thrive, please God. So it's very small, but it's one person at a time. And that's what we're going to be doing. Really, that's our kind of little niche to do that. My job is to advocate.
Okay.
The job of helping is to do that.
Praise be to God. Father Benedict Kiely from Nazarene.org. Our time is over, but we're very grateful for you being on our program today, all the way from sunny UK. And you mean it this time. So praise God for that.
Very sunny. Very sunny. Look at my tan. My tan is extraordinary.
Well, thank you for your witness and your advocacy for Christians in the Middle East. And Nazarene.org is the website. We encourage everybody to go check it out. God bless you, Father. Have a great day.
Bless you, Joe, Emily. Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for the first hour of Catholic Drive Time. Praise be to God. We had a lot of stream issues, but guess what? We're giving away a Mercedes in the next hour, so if you can join us online or on our app, we'd love to have you. God bless you.
Joining us on your Catholic Drive Time, where it is our pleasure to keep you informed and inspired.
Join us Monday through Friday at the same time, right here on your favorite Catholic radio station.
Don't forget to connect with us. Just go to facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Again, that's facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Be sure to share more than just us today. Share Jesus with everyone you meet.
Bye now, and God love you.